What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Unqualified Film Bros. We are back this week with another review talking about the only MCU entry of the year 2024, theatrically speaking, anyway. We're talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. What's your thoughts, guys? What'd you think?
I thought it was blast. Um, I really enjoyed it. It had great humor. It's probably for me the best Deadpool.
I agree.
That being said, like I understand this is a movie and like more than any of the other Deadpools that it relies on your knowledge of Marvel. So I understand some people that didn't enjoy it. The broad majority did enjoy it, but still, this is one of the Marvel movies more than any other that there are so many jokes that like if you haven't watched the X-Men, haven't watched all this stuff, the Fantastic Four, you're gonna miss some of the jokes. And watching Loki and all that stuff. That being said, since I have watched all those things, I had a really good time. And I thought it was a lot of fun. But I feel like it's important to make that caveat that I think to get the most out of this movie, you do need to actually know a lot of this stuff. Otherwise, it would just be random jokes that don't make any sense.
Yeah. All the
Yeah, it
homework
felt
that
like
I did,
running a running tally of like MCU jokes.
Yeah,
all the
more
homework
than any
I did
other Deadpool.
for
Definitely.
Multiverse of Madness, thinking that it was all gonna come to play there, it didn't come into play there.
No,
And
no,
here,
this is the one.
glad that 2 years ago I watched all the X-Men movies.
They're
So I was
good.
Hmm.
Some of them much worse
some
than
of them are not
others.
good. Some of them are not good. Some of them are very good.
Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix need to be wiped from the memory banks.
Yes, but First Class and Days of Future Past are elite.
Yeah, they're very good.
Max, what do you think
Very
of Deadpool
enjoyable.
Wolverine?
I thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, you know, it's a Deadpool movie, so you kind of have to go in with the expectation of like it's going to be a Deadpool movie, and it absolutely was. Um, I was worried after the trailers that it would kind of fall into too many like Kevin Feige jokes and but I thought they hit that balance really nicely and it wasn't gratuitous. It was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I thought it worked, right?
And
Like
I
it
also
was it was it was written well into um the universe, into the script and everything.
I enjoyed that they weren't like obvious jokes.
Yeah.
They're kind of like taking the scraps and being like, "Hey, remember this guy?"
Hmm.
And I love the Channing Tatum cameo. I thought was really appropriate because Channing Tatum, to those who don't know, he has been trying to play Gambit for years and years, a decade, I think. He loves that character. He's from Louisiana, outside New Orleans, and so Chip said that he did an accurate Cajun accent. I told him he did a ridiculous version of a Cajun accent, a Chet Hanks patois version.
Who is his dialect coach? One of the best jokes of the movie.
um, but I do enjoy it, and it like in the comics, nobody can understand Gambit because he does have a ridiculous accent. So I thought, I mean, there were a lot of jokes that you can get a lot out of this movie, and the more that you know about Marvel, the more you get out of it. And I appreciated that it wasn't just MCU jokes, but lots and lots of comic jokes too. And aside from that, I think it's just entertaining to watch Deadpool and Wolverine. Also a comic run, but I mean, they're the two guys that just can't die, regenerate, and have ridiculous personalities. One guy's grovelly, won't deal with any bullshit. The other guy is all bullshit, just completely
Which is
talking the entire time. It's a perfect, foil for each other.
it's I think the best description that I've seen for this movie is buddy cop because they are so odd couple in their relationship with each other. Again, Wolverine is more of the straight man, and Deadpool is more of the wacky character.
Deadpool is the pan man.
Honestly, yeah.
It's like buddy cop, but also if the buddies, one of the buddy cops wanted to fuck the other one, and I don't mean just like genuinely, metaphorically or whatever. I mean, he actually wants that. Deadpool is obsessed with Wolverine.
And that plays in this movie from, searching the multiverse to find the right one, find the new anchor being, to every interaction that they have, you can tell that this relationship goes one way. This connection goes one way. And
Yep.
I mean, you sort of see Logan progress over the course of the movie to sort of begrudgingly go along with Wade's whole mission and his whole scheme.
Well,
You
that's
got
his whole character, right? He's the reluctant hero.
yeah,
Whereas Deadpool is like the worst hero ever, but really wants to be a hero. It's like Wolverine understands the carnage he creates, and Deadpool's just like, oh, it's just Monday.
yeah, and I think what this team of writers and Sean Levy were able to do within the constraints of, all right, we need to get this inside the MCU to a certain degree, was keep that sort of core element of Deadpool alive and well. I think they carried that the tone of the first two
Yeah.
movies over very, very well. Uh, Almost,
Seemed like the only thing that was off limits was cocaine. That was the only thing.
and they made jokes about it, but you're right, Ben. I feel like that was the only thing they weren't allowed to do.
Yeah.
Because like they wouldn't have, I mean, they
I guess
have some
Disney is
degree of,
okay with murder, gore, pegging, whatever nonsense. But cocaine, that is the final straw. You
you want to
cannot
listen
do
to
that.
me?
So I loved all the jokes they made about it, though. It's even though they couldn't use it, it just came up with every slang term possible. And they're like, no, no, no. Kevin knows them all. It's like Kevin is secretly a cokehead. He knows what you're talking about. How else do you think he managed to create this convoluted Marvel cinematic universe?
Gosh.
He doesn't sleep. I wonder
He's
why.
literally the coked up conspiracy guy, but instead he's got control of Marvel cinematic universe.
The most powerful position in entertainment.
Unironically.
Yeah. What do you guys make of the story here? Because like Spider-Man No Way Home, it really serves a purpose in the MCU of just showing off the multiverse
Look,
and getting these characters in there to
so they
get.
brought up No
Yeah.
Way Home a lot. They say, it's the best since No Way Home. The one thing is that No Way Home, I think, suffers somewhat on like rewatches now for me, in that they have the, great reveal of like, oh my God, the Spider-Mans are coming back. Um, but it almost like takes away from Peter's story. This is supposed to be his like, this is the final in the trilogy. So the arc should sort of end here, and he has some like very significant beats, but I feel like the cameos take away. Um, and in this one, it's not trying to do anything like grand. This isn't the trilogy. This isn't the end for Deadpool. It's just like a fun story. And most Deadpool stories have had like in essence, of some like, true plot, like, oh, true love or whatever nonsense. But most of it is gratuitous violence and gratuitous comedy, fourth wall breaks, the type of stuff that comes in the Deadpool comics. Anything goes, and you don't expect something like poignant per se. It's much more about fun and entertainment.
I
Given
feel
like the characters to the people that don't know, the character's impotence, impotence, um, impetus,
Freudian slip.
impetus. I don't know. I don't think that's the case. Who knows? But what I do know is the impetus for it was Slade Wilson, Deathstroke in DC. The character was made as a joke, and anything that's serious just doesn't fit the character. So it's really
That's why
tough to
Ryan
like,
Reynolds is perfect to play the role.
yeah. Again, like I always consider MCU and some superhero movies just to be like in their own realm, but MCU is pretty much like a comic verse. I mean, it's analogous to like a book versus a comic, right? And not like, a grand like graphic novel, but just like a fun comic. Um, and it's very enjoyable. But yeah, I mean, there's not that much of a story here. It's pretty like simple. It's just the story in this is more of just a vehicle to add in, everything that they want to do. Fun, violent scenes, anything that you want. But that is the caveat, right? Anyone that doesn't have an interest in this, just like a comic fan picking up like Secret Wars, or a non-comic fan picking up Secret Wars, you wouldn't understand anything. It
But you
just
gotta have
doesn't,
the context.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't work. So I completely understand reviews that are like, this movie's not good. Even though the broad majority, again, did enjoy it, at least the audience. I think the critic reviews are pretty high too.
Critic score is, I think, around 80.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
critics, again, if they've been around long enough, they would be required to watch a lot of this stuff. Um, but it is always like a give and take, right? It rewards a lot of those people, but it does rely on that. And so it will suffer for some, but even for the broad majority, it seems like most people have watched enough to enjoy enough of the jokes. It's not like you have to get every one. If you've watched enough, you should get a good time out of it. If you
And
have watched nothing, yeah, it doesn't really work.
even if you haven't seen, like, I haven't seen Ben Affleck's Daredevil, and I haven't seen Jennifer Garner's Elektra. I haven't seen Wesley
Don't
Snipes.
need to.
I haven't seen Wesley Snipes' Blade movies.
You should watch those. Those are
I'm
great.
going to. They
And
are. After this,
Ryan
after seeing this
Reynolds is
movie,
in the third one.
I'm aware, and that's where the in
Mm.
joke about, you always hated me or whatever, that
Yeah.
comes from
Yep.
on that set.
Again, jokes for people that are movie nerds like me.
Right. And I think, what you said, Ben, earlier about having, like, well, I think I actually used the phrase doing the homework, but we were saying the same thing, that having seen all of these movies and stayed up to date with casting news and legacy films outside of the MCU, like, you're going to enjoy this film more if you have more knowledge, um, because it is such an incredible tribute to the Marvel legacy while also being an MCU entry, setting up the next sort of part of the multiverse story.
The MCU Bible. He's Marvel Jesus.
I mean, I kind of love that they lean into the criticism that
Yeah, I know,
Marvel has become
100%. Did
so
you see
insulated and everything.
Ryan Reynolds
Like,
literally tweeted today, because Jamie Lee Curtis apologized for saying that like they're in the bad phase. And Ryan Reynolds literally tweeted out, he's like, wait, are we supposed to apologize for criticizing the state of the MCU right now?
Because then there would be a lot of apologies in this movie, and there are
Yeah,
not.
but that's half the fun, right? Is that being self-deprecative is well known to be a great comedy. It's humanizing, especially for something as large as the MCU, to see something that is worth so much criticizing what it's entering is kind of fun. I mean, it's a rare
mhm.
thing
And this
to get
movie,
away with that.
like, we love all the meta jokes and we love the fourth wall breaks. Like when Deadpool turns to Wolverine in the TVA and says, "Welcome to the MCU, by the way, you're entering a kind of a low point." Like that is the most this movie hits you over the head with. Well, either that or when Wade says, "Am I gonna marvel at how cinematic it is?" Like those moments are where they hit you over the head the most with the metaphor. and they lean into it a lot, which credit to Kevin Feige for saying
Well,
fuck it, ball.
yeah, like the whole
Also,
joke about Marvel Jesus is literally that he is saving the MCU. Why does it need to be saved if not for it's in trouble and in a bad state? That's the entire thing. So even though they make the joke about like you're entering a low point, the entire joke about Marvel Jesus is literally saying Marvel needs somebody to be the front of it. And they're correct. Without, Tony Stark, Iron Man, RDJ, they had no, center to like work around. He was so
would you say
important to
that they
them.
had no anchor being?
They had no anchor being.
Who do you think the anchor being of the MCU is?
The MCU? Oh, come on, that's easy, right?
Tony Stark?
Oh, no. This is so easy, and you didn't figure it out.
Stanley.
It's Happy Hogan. He is the most important person. He just makes people like be a better version of themselves. Look at what he did to Deadpool in this movie. He's like, there's a difference, you know? He just sits him down and he's like, I understand you want to be part of this. And he set that all in motion. It's
I didn't
him.
like that I had to, speaking of that scene, I didn't like that I had to read after the fact that Wade used Cable's time travel device to travel the multiverse because apparently
Oh,
it can
I
do that.
just don't care. Like every other MCU thing, I'm like, all right, I want to know how they got
Like
there. And Deadpool,
I
it's like, who cares? He can literally
I
talk to the audience. He
I go with
understands that
I
he's in a
go with it.
movie.
I will go with it. It was fine. It's not that big a deal. I was confused by that initially, and then I looked it up and I was like, oh, that I guess that makes sense. We can say that that does that.
Well, he was doing all those. I think they kind of like mention or show some of the scenes of him using the cable thing.
Well, in
Um,
the post credit scene of Deadpool 2 is him using it a lot, but it's all within the same timeline.
yeah.
And it's not like
No,
you
it's
compare
not because
you
remember
can
he literally goes everywhere. Like he shoots Ryan Reynolds, the actor, as he's reading Green Lantern.
that's true.
Remember?
That's
He's
true.
got unlimited power with that thing. All right.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, if there's any movie where it's like I throw out everything out the window, I don't care to ask questions. It's Deadpool. I still have the comic of Deadpool kills Shakespeare. It goes around, enters all the Shakespeare plays, and just literally ends up killing all the people. Get Deadpool kills the Marvel universe. My sister gifted me one where he goes into like old novels, like The Catcher in the Rye and Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry.
Tom
Um,
Sawyer.
yeah, Tom Sawyer. Different Tom,
Cherry.
different Tom.
Wow.
And yeah, he just goes in there, but it's so random, but it's that I mean that's the whole point of the character is just having fun with it.
And I think
So
what Ryan Reynolds does with this character and what he has done for 3 movies now is just have an absolute blast. Like this
yeah,
guy is so good. First of all, he's so good in his performance,
well,
right?
he's a perfect character. Like all his performances are similar, and this is the one where he can just bring it out. It fits him perfectly. Do I think it's amazing acting? No, but he's
No,
just the
it's not.
perfect guy to play it.
You're kind of I think you're right, Ben. A lot of his characters, especially recently, like the Atom Project and Free Guy and Deadpool,
And to be
he's all
fair, it's
playing
almost
versions
like
of
Robert
himself.
Downey Jr. Like Robert Downey Jr. is, I would say, a better actor, but his natural personality works so well with Tony Stark. And when you get somebody that just like is that dude, it's so easy. I mean, audiences buy him up because that's who he is. It's authentic.
Yeah,
It just feels real because it
the
is.
line between writing and improvisation for this character, there is no line. It's completely blurred where we don't know what was scripted, we don't know what
Yeah, I
Ryan
mean,
was improvising on set.
and to be fair, like he's co-writing the
Right.
all the movies. So anytime that, I mean, first of all, you have to have the co-writing credit if you improv. That's just kind of the rules.
Yeah.
But if you improv enough. I think it's a percentage. It's not like one line, but
Well, that's why
yeah,
when the writers went on strike last summer before the actors, they had to cancel or not cancel, but suspend production on this film because any improvisation that was done on
yeah,
set
yeah,
counted as writing.
yep. But
And then eventually the actors went on strike and they would have been postponed anyway. But
yeah, so I'm sure like some of this stuff is improv. Some of this stuff is literally he can just stop the scene and be like, "What if we did this?" Like a director would do.
and Sean Levy, as great as he's been with now the third Ryan Reynolds project that he's directed, is right there in that partnership. Those two are in sync the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
And he's
Sean
not
Levy knows how to he knows how
as
to let a guy just go
yeah,
because
absolutely.
he worked with Ben Stiller, and Ben Stiller is known to. I mean, he's a comedian.
This
Anyone
thing.
that's a comedian wants to improv a little bit. That's their personality. That's their injection of themselves. It makes it feel a little bit more natural.
Do you guys get
It
the
works. I
sense
mean,
that
there's just this innate understanding of the character of Deadpool.
Yeah.
yeah? Do you guys get the sense that Hugh Jackman had a little more fun here than he had in previous entries?
Considering his previous entries, yes, but like it's not like he didn't have fun on like X-Men and X2. I would
Sure.
consider those more like it's weird. Some of the old superhero movies, because they weren't tied to a cinematic universe, definitely go for a more like serious tone. A lot of the Fox like early X-Men movies are much more serious. Like these have stakes. Um, so it is always interesting seeing some of these characters like go into other universes, but yeah, he did seem to be having fun. And it's not like it's not the same Wolverine technically.
Right. And I
Um,
think, one of the big concerns that people had going into this movie was, is it going to defile the legacy of Logan? Why
well,
are
we
we
did. I
bringing
mean, they
Hugh
did.
Jackman
They
back?
admitted it.
And
They
yes,
went in, they dug up the
it
grave.
defiled the grave,
But I
which was
thought,
that whole opening sequence is just one of the best Marvel openings ever.
it was
I
appropriate.
was
I like that
throwing
they
my head
chose.
back, cackling the entire time during Bye
Well,
Bye Bye.
I like that they chose a different Wolverine. A lot of people were like, "Oh, so this doesn't mean anything now." And it's like, anytime you introduce the
Variants.
multiverse, they've always had this issue, but I enjoy that they just kept. I mean, they showed that that was an authentic end for Wolverine, and that's it.
It's a
Um,
different guy.
yeah, and even like the X-23 in this movie, you don't know whether it's that. I mean, it's probably not that one. It's probably a different one. I think it's fine. You didn't defile anything. You can still watch Logan.
Even with the legacy characters like Chris Evans as Johnny Storm or Jennifer Garner or Wesley
Yeah, I mean,
Snipes, like these
anytime you
characters,
introduce the multiverse, it's also like these aren't those characters. It's like the
right,
analogous characters.
not
Just the fun.
necessarily the ones we've seen before.
Yeah.
Although, would not surprise me
No, there's
if,
only one blade. There's only one blade.
yeah, there's only ever going to
Only
be
one.
one Blade.
Yeah. That was honestly one of the best jokes in the movie. The way that Wesley Snipes said everything was hilarious. It's like, oh no, he's retired. Retarded. It's just like what? Also a throwback to early like 2000s humor. It's like nobody throws that around there anymore.
No.
But the character is
And then
literally from the age where that would be humor.
it's so perfect with the nature of the character of Deadpool to understand what's going on outside the movie in
I know.
2024 to be like, I don't want to get canceled.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Uh,
it's enjoyable. I mean, there's only so much we can like dissect. It's less of a movie that's like, wow, this has something grand to say, and more of a just genuinely fun movie, which even as a movie snob, I have no problem with. Like, I love the Crank movies. Those things
it
are dumb as
took
hell.
145 episodes for Ben to call himself a movie snob.
I think I've done this before.
You have
You
not used that
definitely
phrase
have.
before, sir.
No, yeah, I definitely
Go
have.
back
I
and
mentioned,
watch the game film.
I mention it like every, I don't know, 40 episodes would go. Every now and then it feels
every
appropriate
every 40
to bring
episodes.
up. As I've seen too many people be like, "Oh, this isn't shot like, this isn't all these jokes are dumb." Oh, it's like
No,
you
film
don't
Twitter
have to
is
watch it.
is
You do
fucking
not need to
toxic.
watch it. I understand like people having different tastes, but there's no need to criticize something that's genuinely the most entertaining film we've had in the MCU in like 2 years.
I would say most entertaining since No Way Home.
I loved Multiverse of Madness. I love Sam Raimi.
Multiverse of Madness was a lot of fun, but I haven't had the kind of theatrical experience of just pure delight for an MCU movie
That's
since
true.
No Way
Well,
Home.
it's the Marvel like experience where it's like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Oh my God, he showed up. Oh my
And
God.
every like obviously nothing will ever compare to Endgame. I think I don't know what Secret Wars is going to bring. We can talk about that in a second here, but nothing's going to ever compare to Endgame. No Way Home is its own animal because of the Spider-Man legacy. This
Yeah.
movie, first of all, seeing it opening night in a packed house in IMAX was like almost exactly what you said, Ben, like a throwback to the Marvel experience of going to the theater 5, 6 years ago to see an MCU movie back when they were always a huge event. And
Yeah.
every moment, whether it was, just the audience laughing at a great joke or a great bit or a funny physical humor moment
People might hear
to
absolutely lost it at the flame on joke.
dude, what so I freaked the fuck out when that happened. I'm sitting there and he's he jumps down, he does the superhero landing, and then Deadpool walks over to him and he's gonna say it, Avengers, and then before Chris Evans even said flame on, I go out loud, flame on, and then he says it and he lights up and it was fucking awesome. And then I had forgotten that Jennifer Garner was cast in this as Elektra. Like I knew months and months ago when it was announced. Obviously, it was
I had
public.
no idea. She just showed up and I'm like, oh my God, this is the most random character.
But then you get Wesley Snipes, who no one saw coming. You get Channing Tatum, who's wanted, like you said, to play Gambit for 10 years.
And Tatum shows up and just starts speaking incomprehensibly, and then it's like hard to tell if it's him, and then he like looks he walks a little bit further in, and it's like, oh my God, that's Channing Tatum.
And then Daphne Keane back after 7 years.
Yeah, well, I figured that one was coming.
Well, that's because
I
the
think
last trailer that they dropped 2 days before the movie showed
I
her.
don't know I don't know why they do that. Just stop.
Like,
Think
everyone
about your
who's gonna
trailer.
go see this movie is already decided to go see this movie. That's not gonna
Yeah.
get new people to go see it.
No, but it will ruin.
So that was spoiled for all of us. But every cameo in this movie, like we knew that Pyro and Sabretooth were gonna be here.
Oh my God.
Um, the fight between Wolverine and Sabretooth, or lack of a fight rather. Every action sequence, the two big fights between Deadpool and Wolverine, the battle against the Deadpool Corps back when they're back when they're on in Deadpool's home universe again, the fight scene at Cassandra Nova's compound. The action sequences are so perfectly choreographed, and even though a lot of them, specifically the ones between Deadpool and Wolverine, have no stakes because they can't die, they're
Eh,
still a fucking blast to watch.
well, again, it's more entertainment. I would say I think the
Also,
action
the
sequences
most
could have.
like carnal animalistic we have seen Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
That's
Body
absolutely not.
language. His
I'm not
body
sure.
language, I've never seen him run like he does in the first fight in the void.
I am
He's like
not even
on
gonna
all fours, galloping and shit.
Okay, well the galloping that is a little much. I never seen him do that in the comics really. So, but
He looks like a Wolverine, like the animal.
well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say is that I think the action sequences are fine. They're entertaining enough. I don't think they're as good as they could be, primarily because it seems like they relied a lot on CGI. And CGI doesn't really allow for intricate choreography. I mean, it's mainly like some cool thing here, and then they stop and they go back at it. But I think it's fine. Again, I didn't have an issue with it, but I wouldn't say it's like perfect. I would say it's far from perfect,
It's
but
not
it doesn't
perfect,
hurt
but
it
it's
that
so
much.
damn fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, it's fun because of just what you're watching. I mean, it's fun to watch Wolverine and Deadpool go at it for. I mean, who cares whether it matters? It's just fun. And you're fighting in front of the. I mean, I laughed so much at the 20th Century Fox right behind it, Fallen Fox
The CN Tower.
down in the dumps. Um, but yeah, I think they're fine. I do think they probably could have done a job, but Sean Levy is not an action director, that's for sure.
No.
It
Um,
actually did remind it's some of the like Night of the Museum like chase sequences. It reminds me of that. It relies a lot on CGI. Um,
but the
which
CGI
sometimes just makes it like, a little artificial, but I did not mind it again because it kind of looks like a 3D comic book. I mean, it's not like comic books look real
yeah,
to me, so
the
I didn't mind
CGI
it.
wasn't terrible. Again, they used a lot of practical sets. Like
They
I
didn't
know
use that many.
the not the dance scene, but the forest set at the beginning
Yeah, the forest
was a
set was the
practical
only one
set.
that looked really
Um,
practical.
the
And
TVA,
if you,
the
I was gonna
TVA was
say
practical.
the action in that is pretty decent too because you can tell it's much more practical. CGI, no matter how much money you put into it, if you use too much of it, it will look artificial, which you can tell in some of the sequences.
When Cassandra is putting her hand in Paradox's head at the end of the movie, that was actually like good CGI, I thought. I thought that like obviously
But
it's
see,
not
is it
happening, but
like the
it
difference is that
looks good.
I think it looks, yeah, I think it looks fine, but it's very different. Like they're honestly animating all of Deadpool and all of Wolverine versus for that scene they're animating just the head and her hands. I mean, you can be a lot more
Yeah.
precise. It takes a lot less, power and stuff like that. But yeah, they're animating a lot. They're using a lot of CGI in the scenes, and I think that's fine. But they probably didn't need to do that much. Again, it
This is
doesn't
still a
bother
good
me.
looking movie.
Huh?
This is still a good looking movie.
I'd say it's a fine looking movie. Again, the movie is more about the entertainment. It's about the fun. It's not about the quality necessarily of the film.
And it's super rewatchable. I've seen it twice now. I'm not saying I'm going to go see it in a theater a third time because we do have other movies to see in the next few weeks, but it's 2 hours, 7 minutes. It honestly feels longer, but also like no time at all.
There's a lot packed into it.
There's a lot packed into it. And again, the entertainment factor is through the roof the entire time.
Yeah, it's solely a movie designed to entertain. I mean, if there's a lot of action sequences, it's fun. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that like I haven't seen it again yet, but I mean, it should be rewatchable. Like a lot of Marvel movies, it's designed to be fun. You don't have to use your brain too much. You just sit back and enjoy all the dumb jokes, some of the deep cuts that they've thrown at you, but not like you have to contemplate some philosophical question. You're just watching people hit each other with knives and hand knives.
And the mask. When he pulled on the mask,
Oh, the mask is great.
I don't know how they kept that under wraps that he was going to do that.
Oh, come on. I don't.
Oh,
Did
like
people not expect that? They saw him in the suit.
they saw him in the suit. I didn't expect him to wear the mask.
Yeah, that's because you're a fool.
I am a fool. Do me a favor,
Read
clip
some
that
comic
and
books, George.
use it
You
way
love
too much.
MCU. You got to read some more comic books. You need
Okay,
me to give you recommendations or something?
please do, but let's do it offline.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think there's a lot of fan service in this movie, but it all works. It's all fun. It's all entertaining. It's all enjoyable.
Yeah. Again, because it doesn't like some of the MC projects, they try and create a character arc, and it makes sense for a lot of these characters. They're supposed to evolve in some way, supposed to get better, and there's supposed to be some like poignant moments. Some of them are stuffed with so much cameos that it hurts those moments. But in Deadpool, you have like, I don't know, 5 minutes of authentic, like, oh my God, I need to be a better person. Oh my God, I'm doing this all for you. The rest of it is nonsense. Cameos, whatever, go. That's
And
what I
yet,
mean. It's like it's designed to be fun. And if you design something like that, like Airplane is a great example. It's one of the greatest comedies of all time, if not the greatest comedy of all time. It doesn't have any poignant moment. Every joke is stupid. Every 20 seconds, you're coming up with some other slapstick joke, and you're just watching them and watching them. And they're smart in their own ways, especially if you know like the material that they're sort of drawing from. But some movies can just be fun. You just can't mess with that and like try to do something very serious and then have all these moments of like nonsense. You can't compromise like that. You have to
no, and
make
this
one
this
of the
movie leans into ridiculousness and fan service.
yeah, and it's perfect
Like
for the
like
character of Deadpool,
Henry
who
Cavill
has
is
no
Wolverine
serious
in one scene,
comics.
which my theater lost it at Henry Cavill.
Oh,
Mhm.
The
Cavalrine.
Cavalrine. But there again, we can go through it for the rest of the night. There's so many of these great moments that are just
Again, I brought it up like about Airplane because they legitimately do so many things in this movie. Every 20 seconds, it's literally another joke about something else.
yeah, and that's what
Um,
makes it one of the best comedies of all time.
yeah, well, specifically what makes it one of the best comedies of all time, people that don't know, is that there's a few airport movies. One called Airport. There's actually many movies called Airport, but the one of the original ones, they took a lot of the lines in Airplane and took them word for word and just had them spoken in a ridiculous scenario, changed up something like they can't be lost, they're on instruments, and then they pan to them literally just playing jazz on a bunch of random instruments, things like that. That's the entire reason they did all of that. Like some of these lines are literally word for word, probably 50% of the movie is, and they just changed what's around it. That's brilliant. That is brilliant comedy to take its own material and to make fun of it with itself, not even changing anything.
Yeah,
Um, and so yeah, I can't say it's like up in there with the upper echelon of amazing comedies like that, but it's certainly really entertaining.
yeah, I think that's the bottom line. Super fun. Before we go, there was a big piece of Marvel news that we have not addressed on the
Oh
pod,
my God.
and
Yeah,
I
they
do want to
brought in
talk about it for a couple minutes.
$200 million in a truck and they dumped it on his front lawn. They said, Dr. Doom, Robert, please, we need you. You're our only hope.
Basically.
What is this?
This is called desperation, George.
It feels like it.
I hope I actually believe he can do something good, but it's just you have spent way too much on this one actor. way too much. And even if he
Like
does a good job, I disagree on principle that you're probably giving him around $200 million for 2 movies.
we can
You're
I
paying him the
let's just
budget of one of
let's
those movies.
hold off on the talk of how much he's doing to the budget, which by the way, Chris Evans in Deadpool, I loved seeing Johnny Storm again, but Deadpool was right. You have no idea what he was doing to the budget. Um, dude,
Yeah, but it's not that much.
it's not that much. This casting choice, the only way I can see it working, first of all, there's one comic arc that I've read about where Doom is Iron Man.
Not really, though.
Not really, but like there is a connection there, and I could sort
Like,
of see
So
how they might choose to work that storyline in. But
no, they
also,
can't. They can't
I mean,
though
the fact of
because
the matter is that it doesn't matter how they work it in, right? Like
yeah.
the fact that they're trying to do it anyways, I think
Look,
is the
the,
issue
I
here.
the
I've
only
seen this
rationale
storyline
other than
passed around.
desperation, the only
I
rationale other than desperation that I can think of, I'm sorry, Ben, I'll let you speak in a second here. Other than desperation is we're going to end this thing at Secret Wars. Robert Downey Jr. started the franchise in 2008. We're going to have him end the franchise in 2026, but they're not going to do that because they have so many more projects that they want to do.
no, they're gonna. Also, let me explain as the resident comic knower here. Um, so the storyline that people passed around is like a what if story where I guess Victor Von Doom switches brains with Tony Stark. He like gets him to do a project with him, and then he switches his brains so that he has all the resources of the Stark family and goes on to become like, Iron Man himself. And then Tony Stark in Victor Von Doom's body lives on the streets of Latveria and, experiences like poverty and stuff like that, and eventually makes his own suit, but he's still the good guy in that um, uh, storyline. So I don't know. It doesn't quite make sense to me.
Or they're going to
Again,
have him just be like any other actor playing a character and not have that
yeah,
connection at all.
again, I think he can do a good job. He does wear a mask a lot of time, but why would you do this? It's kind of fun. I want to see it. Half of me wants to see it, and the other
I
half is
I
like,
want to see how
it's
they
the
do it.
stupidest, most wasteful thing ever. I'm glad Robert Downey Jr. is getting enough money to buy his own private island and private security and everything known to mankind.
Oh, he's not getting
They
enough
gave
money
him
to buy his own private security. Marvel is
they
paying for his private
Yeah, no,
security.
that's what I was saying. They did that, and they gave him an entire like he has a trailer city now. They literally gave him like an entire city just to live on. I
It's a
think
compound.
yeah, it's a compound. I think it's
And
a
they're bringing the
mistake.
Russo brothers in to direct
Well, that was
Doomsday
the rule,
and
right?
Secret Wars.
That was
The
the
only way
rule.
he would return is if they got the Russo brothers.
Yeah. I think that this is a giant mistake, but also it could be fun. But also, it's going to inflate the budget to an unbelievable amount. You're seriously paying $140 probably for each movie for the director and the main guy that play your villain.
And then you
I
have
mean,
to
it's
pay
gonna
all of these
literally
other you have to pay all of the other Marvel actors who are making
they
millions and
want
millions of
everyone.
dollars
These
a
movies are
project.
gonna cost like $1 billion.
And they're not gonna make it back at the box office.
No, you can't. How could you possibly make that? They've reached this exponential point where they keep and it's like, all right, no matter how much money we spend, we're still making way more. But they've ballooned it so much that they're not going to be able to afford this. They have to spend all this money to make the damn movie with all their stupid ass CGI. Every single Avenger under the sun. They want to get Tom Cruise to be an alternate like Iron Man. They want all this stuff. It's gonna cost them so much goddamn money. Then they got to market it, spend $100 million marketing every movie. This is the end of the MCU for sure.
And
But
they're we will
I'm
be
gonna
talking
watch it.
about this in the next 2 years. All of this is gonna happen in the next
I'm
two.
gonna watch it no matter what.
I will be there day one. We will all be there day one.
Oh yeah, the one thing I will say is that Secret Wars does end with a restart of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Like DC has Flashpoint, they have a few things which they realized that they had gone way too far. and nobody could understand a single thing anymore because there's a million iterations of everyone. They just reset it, and it's just like there's one. We're doing an origin story again. We're doing this one. So I assume that Marvel will do that.
I hope so, please.
Because they understand at some point that this is unsustainable.
Should have
This is
done it after
literally like
Endgame.
the whole thing of TVA is like the branching timelines are ending reality. Yeah, that's kind of what their issue is. They are literally ending the Marvel Cinematic Universe by having 5 million different iterations and universes and whatnot.
Yeah. So go see Deadpool and Wolverine in a movie theater. It
Yeah.
is so damn fun. You can just sit back and have a great time for 2 hours. Enjoy it. Let us know what you think. We will be back next week for our first M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Trap.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.